Hi, I'm going to talk about exploring the locus of control of teaching through pre-service teachers' final reflections on the practicum. My name is Cecilia Villarreal Ballesteros, and along with my colleagues Lizettte, Drusila, Flores, Delgado, and Irlanda, Olave, Moreno, from the University, Autonomous University of Chihuahua, we are going to talk about this research project that we have been conducting. The background of this study is the Licenciatura en Lengua Inglesa, and it's the practicum course that has had 6 years since we implemented this practicum course. The course aims are to provide pre-service teachers with good quality instruction that allows them to develop as teachers, to give them some real-life experiences, and to promote their self-reflection of their experiences during the practicum course. The practicum, we want to see the practicum as something that gives or creates opportunities for their development rather than activities to evaluate their performance. In the literature review that we conducted for this project, we saw that the teaching practicum has been found as a key component of teacher education that promotes personal development and reduces the deficiencies that pre-service teachers have in teaching. Some of the topics that have been explored are the role of the practicum, how satisfied the pre-service teachers are with their performance during the practicum, some of the tensions that they see or that they encounter once they go to the schools for practice, and other studies have focused on how well they have felt the university has prepared them for this practicum experience. We wanted to focus our research on the self-evaluation the pre-service teachers make of their own performance in real class settings. The theoretical orientation of this research project is sociocultural theory. Vygotsky argues that human mental functioning is fundamentally a mediated process, and within this theory, humans use and create different artifacts or means that allow them to regulate, monitor, and control their behavior. Within sociocultural theory, development is seen as a developmentally sequence shift in the locus of control of human activity that goes from the regulation of external objects, other people regulating our own behavior, until we reach self-regulation. That's when we have internalized external forms of mediation, so we can gain autonomy for the execution of the tasks or the activities that we have. So in the practicum course, we see development as a process of gaining greater voluntary control over one's capacity to think and act as professional teachers. The objective that we had in this research was then to explore what are the pre-service teachers' final reflections and self-evaluation of their performance at the end of the teaching practicum, and what is the locus of control that we find in these final reflections that they write about. So the present study was a qualitative research design. The setting of the study was we took data during 4 semesters between 2017 and 2019. And the data was 2 instruments that we use that were compiled in a teaching portfolio along with some other activities that the pre-service teachers did, such as observations, self-observations, recordings, journals, lesson plans and other activities they had, other tasks they had to do during the semester. The students that granted their permission to use their self-evaluation questionnaire and final reflection for this study. These are examples of the instruments that were used. This is a sample of the self-evaluation form they had to complete, and we focus not on the numerical data but more on the comments that they were making in their self-evaluation. And this is the questionnaire of their final reflections that is made up of 14 different questions that focus on different aspects of the practicum. And in this questionnaire we found that there were 3 questions that gave us more data to answer the research questions that we had. And these questions were: what are your strengths as language teacher? What do you feel are your limitations at present? To which aspects of teaching do you need to give special attention in order to improve? The results of this study still show that some students, some pre-service teachers, still have this object, are in their development, are still regulated by external objects, whether that object is the material that they were given to work with, and they blame that this material that they had to work with made them feel as if they were wasting their time, and or to the situation in the classes that it wasn't the best to improve their skills, as this teacher is saying in this quote. In other quotes, we find that the pre-service teachers even blame the Mexican school system for their failure in achieving their objectives as teachers, because they say it's not fair how the system treats the teachers. And even to simple things or simple tools that teachers use, such as projectors. They say that the projector made the main problem this person had during the practicum was the projector, because sometimes the school did not provide the control and she was wasting time. But she never talks about finding a solution to this problem she had during the practicum course. For other students, then the regulation seems to be the locus of control seems to be other people during the practicum, whether these other people are the supervisors, the mentors, or even the students. As we can see in these 2 quotes, the participant says it is hard to feel empathy with kids that are not even interested in your class. So the teacher blames the kids for not being interested, but never talks about the efforts that she made to make the students be interested in the class. Another participant talks about the kids' misbehavior that does not allow enough time to accomplish the lessons that she was planning. In other students, we do see this last step in their development, in which they gain control of their own actions, and some of the words they use to express their final reflections and the evaluation of their own performance, they give us an idea of this self-regulation that they have achieved. In this case, in the first quote, the person is talking about a need to be more dynamic and not to give too much work, so she has better results in her work as a teacher. In the second quote, the participant tells us, I am aware that I need to find a way to have better explanations and explain myself more times. The last one is very interesting because the person says that I think I have done a progress in this situation, since before acting or saying anything, I think in the possible consequence my decision could have. So as we can see, the person has internalized all the possible outcomes that the actions can have in a particular situation and tries to foresee what might be some of the consequences of those actions. In these other quotes, we find that the participant is able to assess his own performance and is able to explore situations or to talk about situations that should be handled better. In this case, how to make all the students be involved in the class, and especially when you're teaching big groups, and not only pay attention to the students that like the class or like language learning. In the last quote, the pre-service teacher talks about the realization that teaching is a hard job, that it's very complex, and that teaching means never stop learning. In this last set of quotes, the participants talk about the need they feel to improve their creativity, to make their classes a little less boring, because they feel that sometimes my classes were a little bit boring. But as we can see, the locus of control is internal. It's coming from this self-regulation that they have developed. I learned that if the class isn't working since the very beginning, you have to stop, look for what is wrong, and fix it. So we can see how the pre-service teachers has gained control over their actions and has been made this expression of their control. This last one is very interesting because one of the things that we deal with is with the pre-service teachers using lots of Spanish to teach the classes. And this particular participant took this as a challenge not to use Spanish at all, and talks about the process and all the things that he had to try out and to do in order to achieve this goal, this challenge. And at the end, he was surprised by the results that he was having with the students, because the students were understanding his lessons without restoring to Spanish use, to the mother tongue. The way I evaluate myself is through my students' reaction, how well they perform in class, their faces when they are in class. So as we can see, the participant is able to read in the faces of the students an evaluation of his own performance, and is a sign that he's gaining control. Some of the conclusions that we can draw is that many of the pre-service teachers seem to have achieved self-regulation towards the end of the practicum course, because most of the data, most of the participants show the locus of control more towards the self-regulation. They clearly state some things they have learned and some things they consider as shortcomings, but still some are not able to have a sense of their performance. They're not able to assess their progress or problems and find alternatives. Some seem to be still object or other regulated, as they are not able to discover their own weaknesses in teaching, and they blame situations, materials, or other people for the things that go wrong when they teach. So the implications for the teaching practicum are that we need to provide students with more assistance for further develop their skills, and we have tried peer mentoring as a way of achieving this objective, but we need to systematize this strategy and think of other alternatives. And I want to thank you for listening to this presentation. If you have any questions or comments, I will be happy to hear them in the Encuentro con Conferencistas on Wednesday, October the 7th at 1:10, Sala 2. And these are our email addresses in case you want to raise a question or send us a message with any comments that you might have. Thank you very much.